Good morning, everyone. This is Anthony back again with PG Soundstorm Watch on YouTube and Facebook. Once again, starting out by looking at visible satellite imagery around Western Washington this morning. See a lot of smoke from the Bear Gulch fire not moving anywhere right now. This is due to weak surface winds out of the north. This is also a reason why we don't have a huge marine push, because not a lot of this marine stratus is making it inland through the west. Zooming out and looking at surface winds across the Pacific Northwest, this is our next frontal system expected to move in tomorrow night or early Sunday morning. Then looking at winds at 18,000 feet above sea level, clear as day ridge signature here with the clockwise moving winds. And then this jet stream extension comes into play. As we go farther in time on the European model, it does want to bring this jet extension a bit farther east. It's a little bit uncertain on how far south or east it's going to sag right now. As we go into Monday now, it does want to bring an area of extended moisture all the way from across the Pacific into the Pacific Northwest. Looking at current air quality conditions around Washington State right now, not doing great around where the fires are. So we have 831 micrograms per cubic meter of air of particulate matter right around the Bear Gulch fire, which has exploded in size yet again over the last 48 hours or so. This fire has since pushed well into the Olympics of Jefferson County. The 154 for air quality here just to the northeast of Lilliwap. Elsewhere in western Washington, not doing too bad. A little bit moderate and somewhat unhealthy here around the Hood Canal, but nonetheless we're doing really good here around the Central Sound and most of the North Sound Bellingham area as well as Victoria, BC. However, as we go off to the east here in eastern Washington, not doing too hot whatsoever. Really diminishing air quality here along the Columbia River. The rationale for this poor air quality around the Columbia River can be attested to explosive fire growth along some of our main fires here, including the Wildcat Fire, Labor Mountain Fire, and Lower Sugarloaf, keeping a lot of the smoke pulled up around the Columbia River and most of eastern Washington at this time. Since my last video update on the Bear Gulch Fire, it has extended well into Jefferson County now and has pushed quite a bit farther west. So it's up to 18,831.4 acres and has actually been cut in half containment-wise, from 9% down to 4% in the last 2 days. Then as we look up to the north, the Tunnel Creek fire also experienced some dramatic growth, up to 430 acres as of the most recent update. The Perry fire up here has not seen much growth, luckily, in the last 48 hours or so. 1,764 acres at 50% containment. Red Mountain Fire, which is growing here in eastern Snohomish County near Glacier Peak, is at 85 acres currently. And then a couple new fires here as well. We have the Pulele Ridge Fire here, 1.75 acres. Wildcat is at 8,849. Smoke is pushing to the east for the most part. Labor Mountain Fire, 6,053.1 acres, only 7% containment. And then a new smoke plume overnight as well, if you've seen from eastern Washington. Here at the Lower Sugarloaf Fire, over 22,000 acres at only 20% containment so far. Due to weak northerly winds around the western side of the state at this time, we're not expecting much of this fire smoke to leave the area quite soon. A lot of it's going to be pulling up around these fires. I'm even seeing a smoke signature here along the Nisqually between Thurston and Pierce, where I don't believe there's any fire burning right now. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But notice the push that we get ahead of that frontal system going into Saturday afternoon. It's going to shove a lot of the smoke out to the east and really clear us out behind that front. As we look at surface smoke, it does want to keep quite a bit of low-level smoke around the Bear Gulch Fire and its surrounding area. And then same story, as soon as that front comes in, it's going to shove a lot of that surface smoke out towards the mountain crest, even showing a couple of burns here in Thurston County too, which I don't know of any fires down here to my knowledge. This weekend's frontal passage is now available in full range on the high-res short-term models on an hourly basis. Now we can watch the progression of this front as it moves onto the coast and further inland. So it has the moisture beginning to hit Cape Flattery and parts of Quilla Ute as soon as 4 p.m. tomorrow. And it has parts of Bellingham and Blaine getting some rain along with this at around 7 p.m. tomorrow or so. And then it has the SeaTac to Olympia corridor getting rain between 9 and 10 p.m. tomorrow. And a lot of post-frontal showers moving in as we go into the early morning hours of Sunday. and even hinting at the development of a weak convergence zone down here along the King and Pierce County line, which doesn't happen too often. This is mainly because of the west-northwest to east-southeast progression of this front. Then as we go and look at total precipitation amounts, it's looking pretty lackluster for western Washington at the moment. Let me zoom in just a little bit to show you guys. So he has this huge rain shadow over the Salish Sea, Admiralty Inlet, and parts of the Strait of Juan de Fuca. It does have the heaviest of rain falling here along the southern coast of Vancouver Island. Some heavy rain here along the western Olympic Peninsula and for a lot of the higher elevations, but not seeing too much here in the lowlands. An exception for where that convergence zone could form here over the South Sound. So some locally higher amounts down here. But otherwise, around most of western Washington, we're looking at anywhere between about 1/10 to 3/10 of an inch, with some areas higher in that convergence zone. The 5 a.m. run of the HERD 3KM model only goes out to 5 a.m. Sunday right now, but it does show a similar story so far. So it has the front edge of precipitation making it onshore between 4 and 5 p.m. tomorrow. And a very similar timeline, in exception of maybe some stronger embedded cells here behind the cold front. And it does want to bring some heavier rain here as the cold front moves through, not associated with the convergence zone here in the North Seattle Everett area. And as we go and look at total precipitation amounts, it shows upwards of 0.61 inches for Payne Field if this were to verify. And higher amounts possible off the coast of the Olympics as well. But so far, lower precip amounts here in the southwest interior and South Sound, but I'm waiting for the rest of the model to render for the 18Z, which is the 11 a.m. run, which unfortunately it's only 10:30 at the time of this recording, so I'll have to wait a little bit to get those details. These are potential max wind gusts as we go in through this afternoon and tomorrow morning ahead of the front. Not too much around the area right now. We do have these northerlies coming in through the Strait of Georgia and some westerlies picking up through the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Then once this front really begins to push through, still not looking for much for max winds. A little bit of a westerly surge signal here as we go into Sunday afternoon. But for the most part, the strongest wind gusts stay east of the Cascades and along Vancouver Island and area waters. So we're only seeing upwards of 29 miles per hour here at Everett, 31 miles per hour in Bellingham, 23 down here in the Chehalis area, and anywhere between 25 and 26 here in Tacoma. Maybe a little bit higher down here in the northern Kitsap Peninsula, right around 30 miles per hour at the Hood Canal. But other than that, not looking too good for wind gusts around the area, thankfully, since a lot of trees are still fully leaved and also have that dehydration factor to worry about. Zooming out and looking at 500 millibar heights, this is 18,000 feet above sea level. Little weak ridging signal right now, that is going to be replaced by a weak troughing signal. This is going to be responsible for our frontal system this weekend. And after that, there's a little bit of model disagreement at the moment. The last few runs of the European have showed this trough swinging into the area before this ridge can establish. However, this does want to full-on establish a ridge here off to our northeast a bit, which would give us above normal temperatures and below normal or near normal precipitation over the next 6 days or so. When I say disagreement, this is what I mean. This is yesterday's 12Z Euro run. Watch what happens when I go to the 0Z. Completely eliminates that deep trough signature and replaces it with a weak ridge signature. Comparing the European model to the American model is shown here. Extremely similar results with this. The same timing on the trough passage, but then it wants to establish that ridge as well. And to add another comparison, here's the Canadian Deterministic. Same exact story. All three of these deterministics wants to build a ridge over us to begin the next week. This is around Tuesday at 5 p.m. Same exact solution on the ensemble forecasts as well. This is the European ensemble. This uses 50 individual members, combines them, and then averages it into one map here. See, huge ridge signal here off of eastern Washington extending all the way across the Pacific Northwest. So looking likely for above normal and near or below normal precipitation around the Pacific Northwest going into the next 6 days or so. The newest blog posts related to this incoming system are now published on the Puget Sound Stormwatch Patreon as well as the Facebook page. And the 20% coupon on the Stormwatch store is still in effect for 3 more days. just released a new design yesterday. This is Eat, Sleep, Storm Watch, and Repeat. Now available in 14 products and designs. Thank you guys again so much for tuning into today's briefing. I will see you guys around for the next one. This is Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch signing off.